Yep, that's my Corvette. And you're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. I messed up. So let's start from the beginning so I can explain how this piece of metal caused that. So there's a very minor, well-known issue with C6s where the plastic valance along the bottom of the windshield will separate from the windshield. It's supposed to be very flush against it with the rubber, but over time it kind of stretches and it starts to separate. At speed, a lot of people will notice that this trim piece will flap against the windshield, creating just really an annoying noise. It doesn't hurt the car at all, it's just annoying. So a lot of people end up doing is just taking a bead of silicone and running it along the edge of the rubber just to keep that plastic trim adhered to the windshield. So when I first got the car, I noticed that the passenger side was already done. There's just a little bit of silicone in there holding it down. The driver's side didn't have any in there and it was starting to separate. I didn't really notice any flapping or noise when I was going on the highway, but it's just one of those things that when you see, you might as well just take care of right away, so that way it's not an issue down the road. So I bought some black silicone, I ran the bead down, pressed it against it, it was all fine, it dried fine. It did everything it was supposed to do. That part was great. Now, the part where I messed up on is just to clean up the excess silicone that had kind of squished out from the edge of the plastic. I was taking a razor blade. Let me get my prop. Ugh. You know those razor blades that look like this? That are in utility knives and everything? Yeah, so I had a lot smaller version of this. And I was just going along the edge and, you know, just cutting away at the silicone on the glass. You know, I wasn't touching the plastic with anything. I was just trimming it up a bit so it looked nice. Now the problem with that, or at least doing that in this garage, is that main light is really my only source of light. I have a flashlight with me. I had it set up near the bottom of the windshield pointing down, but that light spreads out. You can just, it's really the only main light in here. What that light does is if you don't move a whole lot, and by move a whole lot, I mean not just your arms or your body slightly, I mean you have to be physically walking, making big movements. If you don't do that, it will go out over time. It just takes a couple minutes and the light will go out. That. Just like that. The light goes out with people in here, and then you have to move your arms or stand up, and it doesn't, there, see? Yeah. It's very annoying, and when that is your only light in the garage, it's frustrating when it goes out. So during the process of me cleaning up the silicone on the windshield, the light went out 3 or 4 times, and by the 4th time, it just started to become frustrating. So the light goes out, I dramatically move my arms to get it to go back on, accidentally smack my left hand against the top of the hood, which is open, and drop said razor blade somewhere into the abyss of my engine bay. I did not think that it was going to be that big of a deal, but it turns out it was. I want you to take a guess at how long I looked. You don't have to write down the comments. If you want to, that's fine. If you just want to think of it in your head, that's fine too. But I'll give you a second. You good? You got a number? 10 hours. I looked for 10 hours. So it was 6 hours the first day and then 4 hours the next. I looked everywhere, all over the car. I looked all over the engine bay. I used a magnet, I used a mirror, I used a flashlight. I didn't have any luck finding this piece at all. I even decided to risk it a little bit and start the car in here just to see if I could hear anything rattling. I did not. So I just backed it out of the driveway and drove around just in the neighborhood. I didn't take it out on any major roads. I was just going no more than 15, 20 miles an hour just to hear if anything were to fall out from underneath the car. I didn't hear anything. Nothing bad happened on that drive. So I figured, you know, it's probably just sitting somewhere on top of a control arm, somewhere on this frame that I just can't get to at all. And I'm never going to get to it. You know, that happens with tools a lot, and sometimes you just have to cut your losses, and that's gone until it eventually, you know, falls out. Now, cut to a couple days later on the weekend, I'm taking it on a long drive, I'm on the highway, and about 45 minutes into my drive, I look down and see the temperature at 230 degrees. Now, 220 is dead center. That's where it normally runs, like 215, 220. So noticing 230, that was just a bit odd. I didn't think too much of it, but I did ask my girlfriend who was in the car with me, just a quick check, what's the normal operating temperatures of a C6 Corvette. So as soon as she said that it was supposed to be 220 or similar, I looked down again and the temperature is at 250. So it spiked pretty quickly. As soon as I saw that, I pulled over to the shoulder as quickly as I could. I put it into neutral and I essentially coasted down the highway until I could find a decent pull-off. Now there was a shoulder on the highway. I just don't like to stop right on the shoulder because that's all there really is for room. Luckily, there was a large pull-off just a little bit down the road. I had it running at that high of a temperature no more than 15, 20 seconds. So I pull off into this opening, turn the car off right away, pop the hood, and as soon as I get out and lift the hood up, there is just a heavy coolant smell and I see coolant spraying everywhere. I then look straight down on this side of the engine bay and right on top of one of the supports is that chunk of razor blade. At this point, I know I'm pretty screwed. I knew I must have cut something. I didn't know if it was a hose or something with the radiator at the time, but the car wasn't going anywhere. We had to call AAA, get it towed. And that's where you saw me at the beginning of this video. Now, fortunately, she's all fixed now. She runs great, it's all good, everything's fine. But unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait until next video to find out what went wrong, how we fixed it, and all the details regarding that. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to give it a like, consider subscribing for more automotive, Corvette, motorcycle, truck content, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, everyone. That. Yeah, okay.